Hello and welcome everyone to the Anime Everyguys podcast, your one-stop shop for everything anime. With me, the man who was commonplace but is now the world's strongest, Adam.
Thanks, Andy. Great to be here.
As always, this episode will contain heavy spoilers on the newest season of anime, so if you're not caught up, don't listen. Well, no, actually, please do listen. Just, you're probably going to get spoiled. We got a bunch of really good stuff coming out this week, especially some of our, returning favorites are bringing the heat, actually making I don't know if I can say mainstream news, but I got a Google notification about one of the shows, which is what? Google sometimes gives me stuff that, might apply to me, but this, I feel like, this really broke some records and really got some people's attention. So we'll get to that with Demon Slayer later on.
I find that actually happens a lot with these shows, mostly because I'm always Googling stuff and trying to figure out some things in the background. So I had some other stuff pop up on Google suggesting things for me too.
Yeah. It's so I'm getting articles. It's like, have you watched Demon Slayer? And I'm like, boy,
you don't even know.
You don't even know. We've been here since day one, repping the team, watching that Demon Slayer. But we'll get back to that. First off, we're going to start with Fire Force. It's been doing okay. I'm revoking its number one spot because it's just being okay right now. Some other stuff is picking up momentum, but it's still doing pretty good. What have you thought about the last two episodes?
I would agree with you. There's still, has some things to watch for, and it's still up there, but I think the drive factor for the first episode, or seeing their abilities and whatnot in the first episode, I think it was more like a surprise factor, and that which drove us to be like, oh, this is going to be number one. But now we're delving in the story, getting backgrounds, getting in a relationship type of thing, and it's kind of pulling it back a little bit and just, putting it on par with other things. And the other shows are getting, better as they prolong, and they're, I guess we'll see as it progresses. But these past two episodes, we get to see the interrelation between the different fire forces and how they do not work together and how they're clashing. And then we also get to see how our team reacts within different situations, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah. I like how we're actually getting into the story now. And like I said before, where I was really interested to see how they were going to do, start investigating the different squads and for corruption. And they're getting right into that. It seems
they just jump right into it.
Yeah, the past two episodes have been mainly focused on squad number 5, which seems to be like the research and development unit. Think of in Bleach, there was the whole research and development unit dedicated to the guy with the weird mask that, you know what I'm talking about. I can't remember his name. But it's that. It looks like they're researching predominantly into the Infernals. And I think my number one complaint, as I always have, is the motifs of this show. Like the character traits that they give them. It's like they pulled a trait out of a bag, and that's that's their entire character. They were like, okay, main character smiles when he gets nervous. The other one, he's a knight. The captain of the squad 5, she thinks men are trash or something. I don't know. And she keeps calling everyone gravel. And I'm like, okay, that's going to get old real quick.
Yeah, and it seems like you're right. They're doing it with mostly every major character.
Everybody has everyone one
has a
thing.
Stick. Everyone has a shtick. Like the one is that army chick who is very strong. She's like an ogre, as what the Earther calls her. And then the main captain of their squad is like a meathead who's just lifting the whole time, doing weird things.
Yeah, he's on a yoga ball with balancing with weights on one foot. So I get it, but I just wish they would let these characters flesh themselves out and not be contained to one character trait. So I guess we'll see what happens. But I do enjoy the character design for the captain for Squad 5. I feel like it's pretty cool and pretty different. Stands
especially
stands
her
out.
eyes.
Yeah, they're kind of neat. The first episode, it was kind of like a slow beginning, kind of leading up to why they're meeting this squad. They had a death trial, or was a trial for a death row inmate, pretty much, or a previous firefighter that was on trial for murdering someone. And as he got convicted, or actually he did not get convicted, he was set free. The judge pretty much, spared him. And right at the last second, he turned into an infernal and retained his sanity, and went on a rampage. And that's what kind of brought them all together. But the other thing I thought was kind of funny was the section at the beginning where they had the three mascot people. The guy that's supposed to look like a dog that's a mascot. I don't know. I'm sure we lost something in translation on that one.
It was because of they didn't want to have them all as animals, I think, or they didn't want to have two dogs and a cat.
So they picked a guy that looked like a dog.
Guy.
Yeah. Well, him, who's apparently a beloved icon, there's some flack amongst the community, and these college students hip parade him into a tree because of the trial with the firefighter or something. So again, I think something was lost in translation there. But
well, I guess the other thing there is this guy who was on trial was a firefighter, not a fire force fighter or fire force guy. Right. So he's an actual guy who goes out to actual fires and puts them out with the hose and water, which our guys are not that. They're
fighting infernals.
To fight infernals. So I guess there's two different entities, and people don't know that they're two separate things, and they're all together. So that's why they threw them up in those the tree, because I think they thought their relation was with the actual firefighter who killed people. So I think that's what the misconception within the actual universe is.
Which the whole reason why they went to go rescue him out of a tree, they got a phone call that there was a cat in a tree. It wasn't even a cat. It was the guy. It was a man who looks like a dog who was mistaken for a cat in a tree. What are you doing, Fire Force? But then the most recent episode, we have them storming the compound. It seems like there must be some prior backstory that has to do with their priestess chick that's assigned to Squad 8 and the captain of Squad 5. Looks like they got some. They knew each other as children or something. It seems like they're close, but the squad captain of Squad 5 does not seem to be very fond of her anymore. But I guess it's messing with her. She went to go see her. She scorched all of her clothes off because she wore her priestess outfit to go meet her, and apparently she's not about that life no more.
Well, I think my assumption, is that they went to like the priestess school or whatever, they were nuns or whatever together at that church that was in the photograph.
Right.
But I'm guessing either one of their classmates or one of the teachers or the nuns or priests that were there teaching them became an infernal and burned down the whole place and killed a bunch of them. And so now she's like saying that their soul or whatever the god is, betrayed her and blah blah blah. And so maybe that's what's driven her to do what she's doing, doing the research behind all this stuff and all that.
Right. Other cool things I noticed, the lieutenant, we get to see a little bit more of his powers, where he is able to control the explosions of a gun. Like if it's the amount of explosion that creates the fire, he adjusts it according to how hard he wants the gun to hit. So like he was able to shoot our main boy point blank, but he dialed back the explosion so it wasn't a fatal shot. And then later on, he was actually able to shoot bullets at the ground, and because it sparked off the ground, can redirect their trajectory to shoot around walls and stuff. So that was a pretty cool ability, and
I thought that was really cool,
pretty inventive. But yeah, overall, it's been pretty good.
Another thing I wanted to point out, there's a couple scenes with the priestess in the background in the church area. There's like a stained glass window, and if you look at it, it was kind of interesting because you see like stages of humans becoming infernals, from human on the one end and then infernal on the other, and it goes through the human suffering and becoming flames and then becoming the infernal. So it was kind of a weird tapestry type of thing to have in the church area. So I thought that was very ominous, and it kind of just was, I don't know, I want to say out of place, but it was just a
Yeah.
little different.
Like the whole church aspect of this has given me real like Blue Exorcist vibes, like that kind of church where there's like it seems like there's more going on than meets the eye. I know I've been stretching it with these comparisons lately, but
You gotta compare it to
apparently
something.
yeah, you got to compare it to something. It doesn't. I feel like the animation style even seems very
I
reminiscent
think
to me. Of
I think
like
it's good. I think
Blue
you're right
Exorcist.
though. It's very close to that.
Yeah. Next up, we got Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone, definitely killing it. The first of the 2 episodes that came out, I really really enjoyed. This episode was where we finally get the confrontation between Senku and Tsukasa. Is that his name? I think it's Tsukasa. The two finally clash, and we get to see the gunpowder go off and them kind of using their brains and wits to try to outsmart each other. And ultimately, it comes down to Tsukasa holding the chick hostage, and Senku, already having thought 1,000 steps, or I'm sorry, 3 billion steps ahead, whatever number he keeps using, to kind of plan ahead, already knows that he's gonna probably try to kill him, and gives him the old whack on the back of the neck, snaps it, and he's dead. That's the end of Dr. Stone. It was a good ride, guys. But not really. Apparently, we got a loophole. They are able to use the petrification liquid, or the unpetrification liquid, the life juice, to get rid of a little bit of stone that was actually still like attached on the back of his neck onto his spine. And something that they noticed earlier in the series was when you unpetrify an area, it kind of like it restores and heals that specific area. So where he cracked his spine, the stone moving away restored it, and he's good to go. And they were able to think to do that all because of these little hints that Senku was leaving. Like, he kept cracking his neck for the past like 5 episodes, and they remembered whenever they were kids he never used to do that. So he's like, oh, maybe we should check there, maybe this was all part of the plan. And it was. And while this is happening, we also get to see a little bit of a flashback to see what Senku was doing for those first 6 months, which I thought was really, really nice. And especially in that first of the 2 episodes, they had really killer music in the background. It really set the atmosphere. And it was just good because
there wasn't much dialogue, and I think that's why they were able to put the music in, because all we were doing was just following him, progress into trying to get tools, trying to get a shelter, trying to get food, and doing all this stuff. And the weird thing about it was there's monkeys with them, and like the only dialogue really that happened was the monkeys thinking,
the monkeys' internal monologue,
thinking and talking, which was kind of funny because they kept calling him the shiny monkey, and he's an idiot and all this stuff, and then he finally gets everything in place, and they're like, oh, damn, shiny
makes
monkey.
tools and shelter, and they're like, what? But it was really, really nice, and I especially liked having that first 6 months and seeing like how he progressed and how he was thinking, and we got the origin of why he has the E = MC squared on his chest, because he was thinking back to while he was petrified, he was thinking the whole time, which means he was using up calories, using his brain, which means his body must have been getting energy somewhere. So, E, the energy, equals mass, and what's the C? I don't know. You need energy to produce energy. You need to accumulate mass. So there had to be something that his body was utilizing to allow this to happen. So that kind of sparked the initial ball rolling, and he wanted to remind himself that there must be something behind all this that kept him alive. And it also kind of dives into why the show is called Dr. Stone, saying that like this stone in this world is like a doctor for them. It's the only thing keeping them alive, because you're able to repair and heal things where they don't have medicine. So it's like the stone, paradoxically, is like their savior and their prison at the same time.
Which they were speculating, like maybe this wasn't like a terroristic attack. It was a an attempt to save humanity. Like
Right,
maybe somebody thought
something
something was happening.
Maybe there was a plague. Yeah, there was a plague happening, and someone froze all of humanity, knowing that they would be able to break out of it thousands of years later, and keep humanity alive. Although just like paused for a while, definitely opened up a lot more opportunities. Also, I am so pumped that they addressed my number one complaint. Apparently, the sparrows and them were the only ones that got frozen in stone, and I thought that was just like a bad planning. No, it's a major plot point. Whoo, we're good. They thought of it, so I'm excited. I'm excited to hear the reasoning why only birds and humans were affected by the petrification and not other animals. We also get introduced.
Did we see?
He said, I thought it was all birds, but he specifically said sparrows. So maybe it was only sparrows. It could have been a translation thing though, so I'm not gonna say definitively that it's only sparrows. Because
I was trying to think if I could remember seeing any other birds other than them.
He didn't.
Maybe
he didn't have like an owl. I don't know.
I guess we'll pay attention later on.
Yeah. For now, it's only sparrows until proven differently. We also get a new character when the blonde chick that we kind of got hints of in prior episodes with like the smoke signals. And the big revelation with her is that she has some crazy martial arts abilities and actually is able to kind of fight off Tsukasa to an extent. And he's thinking to himself, if she was from this region, in my age, I definitely would have known who she was with this amount of martial arts prowess. So he comes to the conclusion that she must not have been alive 3,700 years ago. She must be like the product of a new generation, meaning there's probably at least one generation of people that awoke before Senku and them, and then had a child, which was her. And so she's been living in this untainted world, and this is the first chance for her to meet like people from 3,700 years ago. So that's pretty cool, and maybe we're gonna get to see like a small civilization that's already began. What else? Senku makes a pretty dope pulley.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild. Yeah, but the show's going pretty good. It's keeping good pacing. Like I said, that first episode had really, really emotional payoff and lots of good tunes in the background, which I think is like a common thing you're going to hear me talking about this week. We had a lot of good tunes. And next up, we have Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon Season 2. What have you thought? I think it's been good episodes, but it has not gone the direction we thought it was going to go.
Yeah, so we made it seem like in our last episode and what we actually thought was going to happen, because they kind of drove it that way, like this season was going to be about the war games.
Nope.
No, not even
one
close.
Episode.
Wrap
it up. Good to go. Here you go, guys. Here's the war game. Done.
And it was like siege or like take the castle, and like
Apollo's family was trying to making it sound like, oh, this could take weeks. Maybe they'll try to starve us out. Nah, the bell goes off and they stormed it.
Yeah, and they won like within like
30 minutes.
So quickly. And mostly because they cheated.
Oh, they cheated hard. I wonder if that's going to come into play. I think they're just going to brush over the fact and go, "Oh, this was good strategy on their part." No, they cheated. They made the supporter chick look like the little bratty kid from a couple episodes ago, and sent her into the castle to wreak havoc.
Yeah,
and
like
open the gate.
Prior to it starting, she sneaks in there, like in a barrel or something, knocks the dude out, transforms into him, and then acts.
She just runs in the door. I mean, she's like, "Wait, hold the door," and they're like, "Oh, silly, whatever his name was. Yeah, you get in here. You go get to work." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna open the gate now," and in they go. They also got some magic swords and started blasting walls open. And I mean, it was a very strategic and very good Trojan horse plan. Don't get me wrong. It was very good. but it was cheating, so it is what it is.
And like that one chick with the blue hair like sees prophecies or something, and she was calling it the whole time. She's like, I think there's a Trojan horse or something, and then don't do this, we're gonna lose. Don't do this, we're gonna lose. We lost.
she pulls a Trailer Park Boys and is like, there's something fucky here. But yeah, I mean, it was a good episode though, and it was strategic. There were some good fights. They really hyped me up on Belle's training, and I guess we just like poof, and he's stronger now. Good go, guys. And with them winning the war game, that means they get everything of Apollo's. Like, I thought at first she was going to be like, oh, it's okay, keep your stuff. I just want to keep Belle. She robbed them broke. She's like, I will be taking all of your money. You are banished, and I will have your house now. Thank you.
And your familiar is disbanded.
Yeah. Everybody's gone. So now we got a mansion for 5 people. And episode number 2 was pretty much just like checking out the mansion, seeing what they did, setting it up and seeing how everyone's what's the word I'm looking for? Acclimating to living in this new mansion, pretty much. We see that they use all of the money on a hot tub, not a hot tub, a sauna, and a forge. Which, it's fine. It's cool. And just like you thought, 5 episodes in, sauna episode, it happened. We also find out that the Hestia is 200 million in debt to the other god from last season for buying that knife for Belle.
Well, let's take a step back there first. Because they won the war game, she heard the Familia just gain in popularity. So then they started trying to recruit people, and so they had a horde of people, like so many people from out of even the region were coming in to join. And while they're doing this, a notice somehow went. I can't remember the actual. I think the samurai girl finds it and brings up the Historia and goes, what is this note about? We are in debt, and everybody that wanted to join immediately disappeared. So they have no prospects.
And back down to the 5 of them.
I still think that the blue hair and the red hair chick from Apollo may make their way back at some point.
They seem like they're too distinctive of a character design to be, 3 episodes worth and then gone. Plus, they brought them back for this episode, so I feel like we'll eventually we'll get more of them. But
we get some heartfelt,
we get some sentimental,
sentimental, heartfelt thing in the sauna, talking about how much Belle appreciates everybody and Historia and all that stuff. But the only thing I really focused on during that whole scene was there was like thousands and thousands, so many of the rubber duckies in that sauna, or
all
whatever
the rubber
it's called.
ducks.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh boy. The thing I didn't like about the first episode of these 2, they had the really cheesy, like, come on guys, let's go win the war game at the beginning of the episode. And it was like, dramatic music playing and them, running off into the sunset. And then I feel like there was something else that was really cheesy at the end of the episode once they actually got the mansion.
Oh, definitely cheesy.
Like, what?
Definitely cheesy.
I mean, it's still doing good, and I'm eager for them to get back in the dungeon. That's what I'm here for. The dungeon dwelling.
Yep.
Next up, we got, drumroll please, Demon Slayer, killing it. This most recent episode, like we were saying before, definitely is getting a ton of praise from anime fans and non-anime fans alike. When I start getting Google notifications of people that have never watched anime before being like, watch this show for this one action scene at the end. And that's when you know it's that good animation.
Yeah, and like my Twitter feed was just all of photos of
Screenshots and
of the cool techniques that they surfaced in this episode, in the most recent episode, which they really deserve being shown, because I thought, well, it might be the number one fight scene so far.
I think it is
of this year, and I don't know
Definitely.
if it's gonna be number one fight scene for the whole year, because we still got some good anime coming up in the fall here, and maybe in the winter. I haven't looked at the roster yet, but and the fight scene was rather short. It was the last like 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
But it still was the camera.
It was
work,
well animated,
the
and I think
the textures.
Yep.
Yeah.
It did one of our favorite things, or at least
music.
one of my favorite things, is whenever they do like a nonstop flow shot where they don't cut corners and cut and change camera angles between shots. I hate that when you have like a really, really good fight scene, but you keep chopping camera angles and posting it together. So really you're only getting like 2 seconds of a move and then cut and then a different angle, 2 seconds of a move. This had, maybe a 15-second long stretch, which I love that technique of animation. Like the most prominently, I think that people would recognize it from is like something like the Kakashi versus Obito fight, where it's all in one fluid motion. And they did that and it looked amazing. And you usually, even for like the Kakashi and Obito fight, you have to cut corners when there's that many frames involved. So like the background art might suffer, or the details of like hands or certain motions might suffer. This was like crystal clear, really, really crisp, like really nice special effects and lighting and different attack effects going on.
The color contrasts, the different art styles, like the textures in it,
reds and blues,
making
and
things
blacks
pop out, making things go in, and the music going along with the flow with it. And like you're talking about that camera and art, just the flowing style. This show has been really on that. Like every major fight
consistently
scene,
killing it.
They do that. So this just makes you like these fights have been low tiered fights, and I'm guessing there's going to be more higher fights down the line, and just makes you kind of like anticipate those higher fights. This was the demon 12.
He's one of the lower 5 of the 12.
Yeah. So that just there's definitely gonna and it's Tanjiro, which I mean he still has some he's strong and everything, but there's people stronger than him that are gonna be fighting these other higher demons, and I makes me anticipate these clashing together. I don't know how far down the line it's gonna be. I don't know how long the manga is. I haven't read it, so I don't know. But it just makes you anticipate that if this first parts of the show is been like this, it's gonna have big shoes to fill once it actually gets back up to those bigger fights and more anticipated fights. So hopefully they stick with it, because they've been doing so good now.
Yeah, I think they will. And another thing that I've really been enjoying is they're not afraid to like take risks with these different animation techniques and stuff. Like we talked before about the rotation of the house during the last major fight, and how that was such a drastically different approach to the camera shot composition of a fight. Even with like the fighting the big father spider, one thing I pointed out to you was I'm not sure what they used for the water, but it was like it's like they ran it through an actual like real water physics engine
texture.
Yeah, it's like real water placed in, which is kind of at first I thought it was jarring, but I was really about it. It was really cool, and it made the waves really cool. Seeing the sloshing motion from the trees falling into the water and the different fight.
The thing I noticed with it though was when you're actually focused on the water, like if the scene makes you focus on the water, it looks great. But if you're more focused on the characters and the water's kind of in the background, it kind of just like looks like a what's the static on TV, kind of like buzziness in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But once they actually did focus onto it, it did look good, which I thought you mentioned to me about it, and I didn't really even notice it, so I went and rewatched it. And you're right. It did the different textures made it stand out more, and I don't know if it made you focus more onto it to see like they were gonna use that in the like that as part of the surroundings to help them. Like they buried him under the water, and that so maybe it's a nice focus point, changing up the textures, which they do that I guess with the sword fighting too. So I guess it is a way to do it.
Right. And the other thing that I like about just the whole choreography that they do, it's and you know, you see this technique a lot in action, like shown in manga as well, where you're moving from one panel and they'll specifically make a move flow from, let's say, upper right to lower left, so your eye follows that motion even though it's not actually happening, and it allows you to like flow more cohesively through the page. You know, there's actual thought being put into how these moves are affecting how we're reading them and how we're watching it. And I think it really leads itself to that kind of technique with his ability to see like that thread point. You know, we see him on the left side of the screen, and our eyes follow him as he moves from left to right towards a certain thing. And like there's a lot of thought being put into the choreography and how the actual fight moves should be shot and drafted so that it makes sense and is more appeasing to the eye, and you know, you're not having to dart all over the screen even while we're simultaneously reading the subtitles. It's just, you know, very, very seamless, and that I can really appreciate the amount of detail that they're putting in. And I even did see the studio, which apparently doesn't normally comment on this sort of thing, reached out and actually said like, hey, thank you so much for everyone that's been, giving us so much praise, and for we really appreciate it for all of our hard work. And so that was kind of cool too, to see like the studio is watching the fans' reaction, and they're probably just as pumped that people are excited as we are excited to get to see a real spectacle like this.
Yeah.
That's been standing out. Which I actually kind of feel bad, because episode 19 kind of, you know, it put episode 18 out of the back of our mind. But at the same time, we had some big stuff happen in episode 18 too. We had the big bulky spider father guy who neither of them were even able to chop his arm. We had the two, am I wrong in saying this? They're the two highest ranking demon slayers.
No, I think there's a council with the highest in them, and they're pillars. And
okay.
they're one of those two are pillars, so they're the highest ones. But I guess they are the high ranking too. But I don't know if they're, because I guess there is that ranking.
We got
system.
some head honchos coming out to clean up, and they sure do, because he one shots the father spider that boar guy was about to die. He was about to die.
His swords got broken.
Yep.
He was about to eat it, and comes in, one slash kills, saves him.
Yep.
And then Inosuke, I think that's Inosuke.
Yeah, I think that's his name.
He just like is dumbfounded about the guy's ability. I don't know what's his name, but he's the demon slayer that
recruited Tanjiro.
Yeah, recruited Tanjiro. So
we also see the butterfly chick is healing Zenitsu. So Zenitsu, it has not kicked the bucket as of yet.
Yeah.
The man has more resolve than we were giving him credit for. He's still kicking.
All of our boys are in bad shape.
Also, can I point out that Tanjiro killed one of the 12 demon moons with a broken sword?
Well,
like,
we don't
that's
know
pretty
he killed
badass.
him yet.
It'd be pretty anticlimactic if they're like, "Oh, this isn't my final form." Like, I feel that was climactic enough that I could safely say I think he whacked him. I'm hoping he whacked him.
But it was cool though that he was doing it with a broken sword. Like, it wasn't even like an inch. Like, it was like about 3 inches. It was like nothing. So
and Nezuko, we get to see her demon blood art of it exploding. Exploding blood. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though, because now we see
combo attack with Tanjiro's broken sword with exploding blood. Tanjiro is probably like, man, I guess I'm stronger than I thought. And Nezuko's gonna be like, I helped you out on that one.
Well,
the old alley-oop.
Well, I think he's gonna see the explosion.
Yeah,
like his techniques don't form those things. So like, the flames and explosions going on the sword aren't usually what he does.
Right.
Which the thing I did want to point out was that he awakened a new breathing technique that passed down from his father for like a dancing
Passed down
thing.
the family line for generations.
Literally, that's what it is, and it's a breathing pattern to help them keep their agility up and
Oh,
breathe.
right, because that's the other big thing. We met Tanjiro's dad, who's been kind of foreshadowed to us as, probably some sort of badass. At least with the earrings are so noticeable that the head demon guy noticed, and I'm assuming those are from his dad. So I think we're gonna get something there. But we get to see his dad doing this fire dance. And Tanjiro mentions, like you said, with the breathing, that his dad was like really sickly towards the end of his life and very frail, but yet he was able to do this fire dance out in the snow for hours and hours without getting tired, and that's because of this specific breathing technique that he uses at the end, which gives him that Super Saiyan 3 power up.
Yeah, which I was saying the cool thing was that her blood technique is exploding blood, which is like a form, fire type of aspect, and then his new breathing technique is a fire like god dance type of thing, and so you see the respect to maybe they're similar type of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I did want to point out that he's in the flashback with his dad. It said make sure you pass down the fire dance and pass down the earrings. So it could not even be his dad with the earrings. It could just be his whole family line. Like
Maybe.
something happened way past. We don't know.
Which, let me just say, they're kind of badass, and it's like, I'm thinking to myself, maybe I can pull those off. You don't think?
No.
No? Give me some Hanafuda earrings?
I mean, you could try.
I feel like the equivalent is like if I met up to meet you and I had like a dangling one of the cross earrings, the dangle cross earrings from like
I
the
thought you were
80s.
going to say one of the feather ones.
Oh, a feather. That's an option too. Next up, I am all caught up with Arifuerta from Commonplace to World's Strongest, which I had every expectation of this being one of the shows that we dropped this season. I think I'm hooked.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good show.
I
It
think
got pretty good. It now mind you, it's pretty cringy at times, and and that's what it's doing. Like it reminds me very, very much of what was the show we watched a couple seasons ago with the guy with the scythe in the underground.
I dropped that one.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. But it's like edgelord, cringy, like. Cock's gun is like, I'm not gonna let anyone stand in my way. That's this show in a nutshell. And I'll say I did watch the first 3 episodes or 4 episodes dubbed since it was out. I kind of started that way and then continued on with the sub. And if you, like me, cannot stand the sound of the main character's voice in the first couple episodes, don't worry. He changes his voice as soon as he goes from like the shitty like weakling to badass version, which is like his voice like almost completely changes, which I don't think that happened in the sub, like you were watching it subbed. You'll have to listen to the dub and let me know, but it gets exponentially better. I also got to say this show has some of my favorite music so far this season. Didn't see that one coming, did you? It's got some jazzy tunes. And by jazzy, I mean literal jazz in the background of this cringe lord Cox makes a sniper rifle railgun to shoot a dragon show. Has some jazz. So that's pretty neat. What else happened? The cringiness, you think it's going to be done. And then something more cringy happens, like you were saying last week with them making out. I went in having known only what you told me, and so when I saw it happen, I went, "Huh? It's fine. I'm cool with it." Like now, I know what to expect. I wasn't surprised, and I think that helped. And now I'm completely on board. Now he's accumulated all of his power. He's pretty much OP and broken now. We saw the origin story. We get to see where he gets the eye patch from. And we get the big battle with the terribly CG'd 5-headed dragon. which at first, like I said, I was not about it. And then as the episode went on, I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of into it now. And we also get to see he has like the ability to create more things now with his transmutation magic. The basic things that you find in JRPGs. You get magic rocks and guns and Hummers and off-road vehicles, and they also get better costumes because it was kind of lackluster before.
A prosthetic arm.
A prosthetic arm that's pretty cool looking. I don't know. It's just an oddity, and I don't know. I'm enjoying it for some reason. I shouldn't be, but I am.
The only thing that I think has been weird for the past two episodes was the last episode was a recap episode. I don't understand. 5 episodes.
We're only 5 episodes in. Why did you need a recap episode? Yeah, that one they dropped the ball. Somebody. You know what probably happened? They're probably like us, and like we record a whole podcast and then realize that we corrupted all the data and have to scrap it, and so we ended up having to dump the one podcast. It probably for them, they're like, oh, did anybody save the episode? No one saved the episode. Okay, we're gonna have to whip up a recap real quick so we have something to release this week. Redo it. I don't know what really happened, but. I'm gonna keep watching it now. I was not expecting this to be the one that caught my eye. The trash show of the season. This is it. The diamond in the rough. And then closing out, we have Black Clover, which I'm finally caught up on, and I'm mad that I wasn't watching this week to week. I stopped after the end of the last arc, and just, it got pushed on the back burner, but this arc has been a real good. Real good. The Eye of the Midnight Sun is coming into its full conflict. We have a new opening theme, which is making this next bit look even better. All the bit with the elves and the backstory with the elves has been super cool. Really, really good developed characters, and like you even said last week, the fight with King Julius was really, really spectacular, really well animated, and they've been killing it lately.
Yeah, and the thing to point out though is it's gonna be I read the manga and I'm caught up on the manga. There's gonna be some wicked fight scenes, and collaborations with the Black Bulls. We will see the Black Bulls tearing it up as a team later on. Mm-hmm. So there's gonna be a couple good fight scenes coming up, and later on there's gonna be a huge battle. That's gonna be hopefully they're gonna do some good stuff with. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm sure there's parts that so don't answer me. But I have a feeling that the head elf guy, who's not really the head elf guy, the actual head elf guy, I feel like he's the one who did it. That's my shot in the dark. I feel like he's the one that whacked him, and now it's the guy that's pretending to be him that's in charge of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Also, R.I.P. the rest of the Midnight Sun. They whacked them all for the ritual.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, like, none of the Midnight Sun people were revived or like turned into elves. It was all the Magic Kingdom.
They were the fuel. Yeah. But it's looking really, really good, and the opening is kind of showcasing some of what's coming. Coming up. I'm pumped. Like the stuff, it looks like probably regains his sanity and like overpowers the elf, and looks like he's got some fights coming up that I'm excited for.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't show that right away.
Yeah. Captain of the Black Bulls has been, obviously real mad because of Julius, and so he's been tearing it up. Showing off cool dark magic, and even we get to see a captain versus captain fight, even though it's technically not like her actually. It's not actually the captain versus captain. It's the captain versus someone in the captain's body. But we got some big heavy hitter magic going head to head, so that is pretty neat.
Yeah, and so like just like that, the people in the old hideout are people storming it. literally more than half of them have been turned into elves. So there's like a handful of them left.
Yeah,
that
like heavy hitter main characters. Like it
Don't-
seems like it was just a roulette roll of who
see,
got picked.
Well, actually, if you look at it, every single one of them, except for the nobles, so like Noelle, Nozel, or whatever the main, her brother is, Meliona, whatever her name is, the fire one.
Mm-hmm.
The royals didn't, and then the commoners didn't. So like Asta, what's his name? Zuri, Zara, and then the mushroom guy. And I think maybe there's a couple more, but so it's like the royals didn't and the commoners didn't. And
I was trying to figure that out, because at first I thought it was the royals, but then I felt like there were some royals that did, but I guess maybe they weren't. Maybe they were just people I thought were, because I thought what's his name? The guy with the glasses. I thought he was a royal.
I don't know. I think there's tiered systems. So like the highest royals. I guess there's more. There's like Mimosa and her brother too didn't. Yeah. And so I guess the three main class households. The fire one, Nozel's family, and Mimosa's family. They're all related. They're all cousins, and I think they're all descendants of the Wizard King. And I think the other ones, there might be other royals in there, but they're not like the highest tier, like nobles like them.
Yeah.
Because I also think Finrel is considered royal
too. You might be right. So I'm assuming they'll explain what's going on with that in the next coming episodes. But yeah, some big fights on the horizon, and if you're not caught up on Black Clover, now's the time, because the hype train is really building up steam, and we are going head first into what's going to be an awesome couple of battles, I'm assuming.
I don't know how much longer they're going to keep the manga going, because I think they just finished the arc, and I mean the anime with the manga, because they just finished the arc in the manga, or just like on a cusp of going into a new one or something. So
can you hear that in the distance?
Filler arc?
No. It's going to be like Naruto with the ostrich episode. Oh, no.
Not all the filler was bad in Naruto. Some of it was funny.
Yeah.
Like Shino's and the grub one.
Yeah.
When they're in the bathroom comparing sizes.
Oh, God. And with that brings an end to this week's episode of the Anime Everyguys podcast. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. If you haven't seen on our social media, we now have a Patreon that's up and running. So if you guys want to show us some support, you can donate $1 a month, and that'll get your name right here on this segment of the podcast. You could be like one of our supporters, Brendan S., and get your name shouted out here at the end, and get a very heartfelt thank you from us. It's helping us, maintain the show, keep it up and running, and hopefully, if we pick up some steam, we can get some even better equipment and stuff, just so we can, give you guys the best, most optimal audio experience possible. So once again, thank you, and stay cool.